On today's episode of Video Marketing Madness, we're going to talk about the Big Man Video Plan and what that actually means. So you got to stay tuned to figure that out. But while you're staying tuned, be sure to check out the people who make this show possible, our good friends over at Movo. When we do the Big Man Video Plan, we're going to be shooting videos and using things like Movo microphones, lights, stands, and a whole lot more. So if you want to take your videos to the next level, make them sound and look fantastic, even if you're just using a smartphone, head on over to Movo by going to raiselinks.com/Movo and check out all the great video products they have just for you. And with that, Steve, are we ready to hear the music?
I sure am.
Let's do it then. Here we go.
He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.
And it's the radio show about video marketing madness with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. Yeah. Check out my YouTube channel, Steve Sleeper Trains. So we had a nice 3-day weekend, the wife and me, last weekend. Speaking of trains, we went to Kansas City. Now, one of the things that I did was go down to Santa Fe Junction, which the BNSF has about 7 or 8 subdivisions that all kind of meet there and cross over. And then Union Pacific has a line that runs over the top of it on a bridge. And I shot a bunch of video down there, which was fun. We enjoyed it. And
nice.
My wife brings along her knitting, by the way. But then we went to this place called Doc's Caboose, which has, let me backtrack, Santa Fe Junction has virtual railfan cameras there. We interviewed Mike Sear from Virtual Railfan, and then they also have them on the top of Doc's Caboose building. And they,
wow.
Yeah. And so we went down there, shot some video, and then we met Doc. And what he does, it's really, really interesting. He was creative director in an advertising agency and production director at a printing company, and he started his life as a graphic artist. But he's always been a train nut like me, so he's got a model train store. Then he's got an art gallery, and then he's got a screen printing business that he does uses to produce artwork and T-shirts. So he gave us the grand tour, and we spent about an hour there. And me being an old graphic arts guy married to an old graphic arts woman, we just got a heck of a charge out of it. And he gave us all kinds of cool places to go in Kansas City. So we had a good time. So that was my week. That was Steve and Steph's excellent adventure.
Well, there you go. I like it. And me, for those of you who are wondering, I am still on my adventures, which is I'm up in Rhode Island and checking out all the great sights and sounds from my childhood, including all the great restaurants, and went to shout out to Twin Oaks Restaurant, one of the most famous restaurants here in Rhode Island that we went to the other night. And next week we'll be heading down to the Newport Beach area, which, for those of you who don't know, that's the home of certain celebs like Jay Leno and Judge Judy. Judge Judy, yes, that's right. She does. She has a beautiful home down there. She bought the home of the former the guy who created Campbell's Soup, the condensed soups.
Oh, really?
He had a big mansion, and now she owns that one down there, and also Taylor Swift. Oh. So those are 3 of the people that live over there anyway.
Oh, cool.
Along with many others that may not be as famous but are equally as wealthy.
But we need to give everybody a heads up because Ray is at his folks' house right now as we record.
That is correct.
And so they, being old people, they have a landline. And it's and I are one, an old people, but I don't have a landline, and so but it might ring every now and then. We're just going to ignore it, and you should too.
That's right.
So this morning, before about an hour ago, actually, we ended the call. an hour before we started recording this program. We did a call with a client of mine, attorney Joey Franks in Jackson, Mississippi. I mention him a lot. He was my first client, so he's the furthest along out of all my clients. And he calls himself the big man at Big Man Law. So he's got a business license for Big Man Law, listing for Big Man Law, and he wants to utilize YouTube to its fullest advantage. He's got a channel that's been around for about 10 years that I stood up, and I do backlink videos. I do AI videos to create backlinks. That's a long story, but I'll just leave it at that because that's not the purpose of the show today. But he wants to do videos that get a lot of views. And Ray, why don't you explain two channels that you talked to him about today, and that'll kind of give everybody a clue of what Joey wants to do.
Yeah, so, well, what he's trying to do is he's trying to take what he does, which is typically just videos on there to help grow his law firm locally. He wants to turn it into a more mass market entertainment style channel where he creates content that people will actually want to watch. And if any of you have ever watched Jerry Oginski or Steve Leto or the civil rights lawyer or Lackluster or any of the ones that do commentary on different legal issues in some way, shape, or form, that's what we're going to try to do with him. So we may take some of the, if you go onto YouTube at any one time, you'll probably find 832,000 videos of, let's say, a cop pulling somebody over who wasn't drunk and trying to arrest them for being drunk when they weren't. And these lawyers will comment on that and talk about, well, the driver did this and he shouldn't have, and that's why he got into trouble here, and the cop wasn't supposed to do this, but he did, and so he's going to get off, and, we can make sure that this happens and that happens. And so that's the kind of thing that we want to do, is we want to have him do commentary on popular legal issue videos that are all over the internet right now, and hopefully get some large numbers of views out of it and start monetizing the channel.
And your civil rights lawyer guy, he does very broad-based videos where he comments on cases in the news, cases not in the news. Maybe they'll be in the region, but he's very entertaining. He's I don't know if the word entertaining is right. He's actually his videos themselves, when he's talking about them, is very straightforward and kind of stale and boring. But then he's in his backyard playing the banjo and smoking a cigar. Well, that's what I meant by entertaining. I mean, he's not a song and dance man, but I kind of call them entertainment videos, and I use that as a broad application. But he does videos that people are intrigued by and will watch.
Yeah. And very minimalist. So, in other words, it's not, some fancily edited video with effects and, whatever. It's literally him sitting at his desk talking into the camera about an issue. And, they will show footage that they got from the cops or from whoever was being arrested that shot on their phone or a bystander. And he'll show those videos and comment on them, and then he'll talk about the legal ramifications of it and who was right and who was wrong in different parts of it. And it's a very interesting channel. I watch it all the time anyway. So the fact that we got Joey wanting to do this, I'm kind of excited by it, because it's the type of stuff I do enjoy watching, is legal stuff. One of the other ones that I mentioned earlier was Steve Leto, which is a very similar type of channel. In fact, it's even more minimalist. It's literally just him sitting in front of the camera from start to end, other than a little intro and an exit on it. But other than that, it's literally him just sitting there, talking about an issue. And typically he'll have somebody send them. He'll say, "I got this from 5 people. This is a story out of such and such town where some car dealership tried to repossess a car that somebody had already paid for," and he goes through the whole legal issues with it. And it is, to me, it's interesting. I don't know if entertaining is the right word. I guess that is the word. It's I know what you mean about using a different word besides entertaining. I like a guy named Bruce Rivers. His is called Criminal Lawyer Reacts, and he opens with a rap song,
Bruce Rivers, he's a criminal lawyer, and it's set to rap, and they repeat that 4 or 5 times, and then they say, and who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's a criminal lawyer. Who is he? And then at the end, the rapper says, and what'd he do? And he says his mantra is stop self-snitching. And it's just a kind of a pithy little rap song to get into it. And they have Bruce Rivers in court and in his car and things like that. And he just comments on cases in the news. Where he really hit his stride was the Johnny Depp trial. And he was doing stuff every day about the Johnny Depp trial, and that's where he really started getting the views. So he's probably making, I'm guessing, just kind of a wild guess, he's probably doing as well as your foot doctor client who's getting $10,000 to $15,000 a month in YouTube revenue share. But what we started with Joey is something that everybody who's listening to this program can do with anybody who's a bit of a character, okay? And Joey is, to say he's a bit of a character is an understatement. He's professional, but he's just got a great personality. Everybody loves him. He knows everybody in town, that type of thing. And he's done about 5 or 6 videos, and one of them got 5,000 views, and he didn't do anything to get those 5,000 views but stand up the videos. So people know him, people love him, and he's fun to watch. So he started asking me a bunch of questions about how do I do this, how do I monetize it, and I started giving him some answers, and at some point I said, you know what, this is a bit above my pay grade. Why don't we bring Ray in? Now, he already knows Ray because he does his Google ads for him, so he knows Ray. So we had a call this morning. We did a Zoom call. And what we discussed, just very quickly, is Joey's going to record stuff, and he ran off a whole bunch of things that he could do videos about. He's going to record them on his phone. He's got the equipment. And then he's going to take those videos, put them in a Dropbox. I'm going to grab them and edit them. And by the way, we need to get some kind of opening for him. And you and I can talk about getting something on Fiverr, like the Ray the Video Guy song, and having you doing a little opening thing. We'll figure that out. And then at some point, Ray has a formula for getting stuff monetized. And this is how he made the Foot Doctor. How he made them wealthy off just their YouTube channel when he started off just doing stuff to get him more cases. So Joey's number one reason for doing this is to get more cases, more DUIs, more workman's comp. That's kind of his gravy train right there, his sweet spot. And then second of all, if he can make some money off of YouTube, he'd be real happy with that. He said, I'll be the first DUI lawyer to make revenue share off YouTube. And he says, if it's $60 a month, I'll take it,
Well, he won't be the first.
Oh, okay. Well, he said that anyhow. But so, that's kind of where it went this morning, and Ray pretty much walked him through what he needs to do and the whole consulting part of it. And I after the call was over, I thought, well, let's do a show about that today. So,
yep.
You want to talk about a few of the things that you told?
So. The big thing here is we have to do, if you're going to do something like this, whether you are a plumber or a lawyer or a foot doctor or whatever it is you do, you have to be able to create content that is going to have mass appeal in some way, shape, or form. And in the case of, the foot doctors, their mass appeal is mass appeal to an older crowd. It's well produced but very informative stuff. So there's not a lot of comedy, a little bit of comedy here and there, but it's not a lot of comedy. It's a lot of information, and people really gravitate towards that. The target audience definitely gravitates towards that. And with some of these lawyers, the same type of thing. People have interest in the law. That's why there's so many television shows that are revolving around the law, because people are fascinated by it. And in this case, you get some real stuff. So my suggestion to him was, well, let's become a lawyer that reacts to different things that are happening in the news. And when I say the news, I don't necessarily mean literally in the news, but things that are happening right now that maybe are trending on YouTube. For instance, there are many of the lawyers that I mentioned that have done commentary on a college kid who was recently – he was pulled over for a headlight being out, and the cop says, "Oh, I smell alcohol. How much have you been drinking?" He goes, "I don't drink." And, of course, the cop goes, "Well, why are your eyes red and watery?" Now, mind you, the comedy part to me on this is you're seeing the cop's cam as he's talking to him. The kid's eyes were not red and watery in the least, like not even a little bit. So this college kid, they take him out of the car, they make him do all of the different tests, and he does them with flying colors. Like there's no issues at all. The only issue was the cop told him to walk a certain number of steps, and he walked too many steps. So the cop says, "I can clearly see that you're impaired." And he says, "Well," well, what he says is, "Well, do you want to blow me?" Which added a little bit of comedy to that. And the cop says, "No, I'm not going to blow you." So he says, "All right, you just give me the breath test. I'm going to blow triple zeros, and you're going to look like an idiot." And this college kid was very, he's friendly, but he's very snappy to the cop. He goes, "Well, I'm going to blow triple zeros, and you're going to look like an idiot." And he blew triple zeros, and of course, then the cop goes, "Well, I still think you're on something. I think you've been smoking something." He goes, "I'm on the football team. They test us every week." "Well, maybe you did it last week." He goes, he says, "Well, marijuana stays in your system for 30 days, dumbass." And of course, the lawyers are reacting, going, "Well, maybe he shouldn't talk that way to the cop that's trying to pin him for stuff, but the kid's funny, and he's right. He blew zeros." And of course, the cop says, "No, I think you're on something," arrests him, takes him down to the station. He meets with a special cop there that can supposedly detect, whether somebody's on drugs, and the cop is like, "There's absolutely nothing wrong with this guy." And then he says, "Well, I want to talk with the cop that arrested me for this." And he sits him down and he says to him, he goes, "Well, I just want to let you know I'm not mad that you pulled all this crap with me." He goes, "But I do want to let you know I'm very disappointed in your actions."
Wow.
"I trust cops, and you have clearly not done your job tonight, and you've really disappointed me with the way that you handled all of this." Yeah. So it was pretty funny. But these lawyers, and that one particular video, many different people have commented on that and done commentary things on it, and they all have millions of views. So it just shows that kind of stuff can be very popular. And if you had somebody like Joey in this case who does a lot of DUI stuff, if he's the one commenting on that, he can really provide some great information. There's a lot of disinformation out there, and it'll be helpful to have a lawyer commenting on these things, because we see all the time, "Oh, cop, you're violating my First Amendment rights, or my Fourth Amendment rights, or my 14th Amendment rights," whatever. And, they'll have people commenting on it who aren't lawyers, and they don't know what they're talking about. So when you've got somebody that is a lawyer commenting on that and can say, "Well, the law actually says X, Y, Z, and that's why this is wrong and they can't be doing this," it's going to make for some, like I said, entertaining may not be the right word, but we're going to use that anyway. Some entertaining videos that people will want to watch, that people will enjoy watching, and that we'll be able to monetize. And if we can Joey's ambitious. He wants to do 2 of them a week. And we'll see if he'll be able to do that, 2 videos a week. Now, one of them may be commentary, and one may be a slightly different type of video. But
he'll, based on experience, he'll be, doing good to do once a week. He thinks big, and what I always try to do is, help him realize his dreams. But he's going to have a hard time doing 2 a week.
No, I agree. That would be tough. But you know what?
One a week.
If it takes off.
Yeah.
Well, want to do 2 weeks.
And one thing he did say is that if it takes off, I'm going to hire somebody to handle all the legal cases, and to do what I do here, and so we'll see what happens. And but I mean, if he's of course, I'm always kind of the pessimist when it comes to production, but if he is able to do 2 a week, which I hope he can for the first couple of months. That's really going to help. And, what Ray was able to do was consult with him on what the content would be, which he just unpacked. He gave examples of it. He's going to send example videos to him. And then, and these are some of the action points, the YouTube channel that I stood up for him, I think it was 10 years ago, 7 to 10 years ago, is properly optimized per the training I got from Ray the Video Guy. And then we will, I'll edit the videos and then properly optimize that with titles, tags, and description. And then we'll let that go for a while, and then we'll look at the whole monetization procedure that Ray has discovered with his foot doctor client.
Yes, absolutely. And we got a lot of plans for that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, we'll go through Joey's channel and we'll kind of talk about some things we could do there. But like you said, we're going to give some samples because there are different styles that we could use. Mm-hmm. The Steve Leto example was him just talking into the camera for 10 minutes. And the only thing that's on there is a legal thing at the end and a logo at the beginning, but it's basically just him talking. The civil rights lawyer, he gets a little more into it. He talks about things. He shows the actual videos and comments on those. So he does a little bit more editing. If you get into something like a channel like Lackluster, well, they actually have a lot more production in it. Now, you don't actually see the Lackluster guy in camera very often, but they show a lot of the videos. They show the legal, they show the law books and show what the law books show, and so they really get into that. And then there's ones like Legal Eagle, where it's much more highly produced. He shows up on camera. Typically, what he does is more legal comment on movies and TV shows that, like he might do My Cousin Vinny and talk about the law and how it's incorrect in there, and how it's correct and how it's incorrect. And so that's a very entertaining one, but much more highly produced. And then there's ones where they've got a panel. And I forget the name of the one that I've watched a few times, but they actually will take on a legal issue. In fact, they took on the legal issue that college kid, and there was like 4 of them. So one of them was like a moderator, and he had 3 guests on who all gave their opinions on what was going on at different times. And again, it's kind of detailed, but it's fascinating and it's entertaining at the same time. And I think if we could produce the right type of stuff for Joey, and I think his stuff should be more like the civil rights lawyer, because I think it'll be, at least in the beginning, it'll be very easy to produce, won't take as much time, but still have a lot of the good information in there. I think that we could really do something interesting. And we have to find out, too, how far does he want to go on that? Does he want to try to stick mostly to DUI stuff, or does he want to expand out into other things? Steve Leto, for instance, his actual area of law is with like automobiles. So he deals with lemon laws and dealerships and, that kind of law. But he comments on a large variety of different things that have nothing to do with cars. So we just need to figure out what Joey's niche is going to be. Is it going to be DUI? I hope he wants to expand beyond that and do, First Amendment type stuff, Second Amendment stuff, Fourth Amendment stuff. Comment on the different things going on at the time, and even some non-criminal type stuff. So maybe it's violations of tenant laws and things like that, where it's more civil than it is legal, or more civil than it is criminal.
Yeah.
And so we can go in that direction as well. But I think it could be very interesting, and a lot of these channels, they've got millions of subscribers or millions of views, and I think that Joey has the personality to be able to really pull that off. He is a character.
He is a character.
And some of these other guys are not. The civil rights lawyer is really not much of a character. He's just a guy, but he does a good job. And I think that Joey could do an excellent job with this as well.
Well, I'm the big man. This is how Joey sounds. I'm the big man. And here's a DUI case that worked out really well. My client was drunker than Cooter Brown, and he got pulled over. And he got arrested, and he spent the night in jail. And I started looking at the police reports, and the police had just made all kinds of mistakes. and I got him off. I got the case dismissed. So that's a little bit how Joey sounds. Not the best imitation in the world, but you get the idea. He does a lot of criminal law cases too. Although he said for some reason I'm getting all the domestic violence cases in Jackson. He said, I don't know why I'm getting them, and he says, I don't know that I want to comment on those. But he does know criminal law really well. It's just the most cases a criminal lawyer is going to get, for the most part, are going to be DUI.
Yeah, that's definitely the popular one. But again, he's going to be reacting to, a lot of times, to videos and things, so it doesn't matter if it gets to
That's
him.
right. That's right.
So it'll allow us to do a lot more.
Oh, he's extremely smart. I mean, he really knows his stuff. He picks up things really quickly. Here's a guy. This is an interesting story. He worked at a paper company, a paper manufacturing company, through high school, and then worked at it for a couple of years before he went to college, paper mill. And then after college, he was an engineer on a couple of different railroads, including is either Norfolk Southern or CSX, and that's how he made the money to go to college. And of course, you don't have a life; you're always out working when you're doing that. But he wasn't married at the time, and he made. I mean, he was probably up to $100,000 a year doing that, and saved up enough money to put himself through law school.
Nice.
Gets out of law school and immediately starts getting cases because he endears himself to so many people in the community, not just people that need his help, but other attorneys and judges and things like that. So he's ended up doing really well because of his smarts and his personality. So that's a good client for that. Attorneys are good for that, and that's what I really know. Now here's one that is really interesting. Remember that Gwyneth Paltrow case?
Yes.
Where an optimal ran into her on the ski slopes, and then he tried to turn around and say she ran into him, and he was going to sue her for millions of dollars, hoping that she would just settle out of court, okay? Because she has millions of dollars in attorney's fees after this was all over. Well, no, she was not going to put up with that, and she didn't want to make herself a target for that type of thing, so she fought it. And she got really good attorneys that she paid a lot of money to fight it, and the Optimal simply had his personal injury attorneys that typically litigate. And she just made him look like a total fool, and so Bruce Rivers was commenting on that throughout the whole trial, and it was fascinating to watch it. And this is just an example of what an attorney can do, just commenting on cases in the news.
Yep.
So this, if you've got attorneys, this is something you need to consider. And Ray does have a mastermind class that if you haven't signed up for it, you should. He's having a class this afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern time.
That's right.
But he starts in the beginning, stuff that I was getting taught, I don't know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I don't know, from Ray, which, by the way, in a couple more weeks, we will have been doing this show for 10 years. Isn't that something? So that's why I say it could have been 10 years ago. But he's teaching everything, and he starts at the beginning. So we'll have missed the first few, but he has the replays of them in the membership area. So you should consider joining that. And how do they join it, Ray?
Well, you had to ask me that, didn't you?
What's that URL, Ray?
Well, that's what I got to go figure out now, because now I got to remember what it was.
I could always put it in the show notes as well. You can send that to me, and I'll put it there. So
you can always reach out to me. I'm trying to look it up now to see it, because I can't remember what the actual URL was for it. But let me see here.
Reaching out to Ray on Facebook is always good. You can friend him and then PM him. That always
Yeah.
works well. Ray, the video guy, I think is his one profile for public figure, and that'll, he accepts any invitation. So.
Yes, we will put it in these show notes because I can't remember.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But anyhow, yeah, that's a pretty
$50
cool deal. I think it's what, $40 a month or something, or
yeah, it's $50 a month right now.
Month, yeah.
That is going to change because once we have some content in there, and we've only done 2 masterminds so far, plus some extra things. But once we put more content in there, that will go up. But we're just doing that now to get some people in there and have a little bit of fun and, teach people a little bit more about building their channels.
Well, and what we've been talking about today, it's kind of new ground for me, and this is why I brought Ray into it. Is that, as I said to Joey, this is a little bit above my pay grade. But it's really fully utilizing a YouTube channel for everything it can be, getting more leads and getting the revenue share. And there is a market out there for it. There's a lot of attorneys, as we explained, doing this already. So the attorneys are familiar with it. They know the genre. It gets talked about at all the association get-togethers, whatever the association might be, either training or marketing. So if you've got an attorney client, and I'm just going to focus on attorneys because I don't know the plumbers or the roofers, but if you've got an attorney client that is a character, and many of them are, you need to talk to them about something like this.
Yeah, and believe me, it doesn't have to just be attorneys. We do have a plumbing client right now that we're going to be starting to work with, and they do plumbing tips, and they've gotten themselves monetized. They're not making a fortune, but they're doing okay, and they're making a little bit of money each month, and so we're going to work with them to try and grow that and turn it into something where they can really start to make some income each month with it, because I think they've got an excellent person. The lady that does the actual videos, I think she does an excellent job, and I think they're going to end up doing really well with it if we can just get it more consistent and start to really do all of the things that can help it to grow.
Yeah,
all the things. We just have to jump in there and do it.
All the things you're supposed to do. So if you want to become an expert on this, sign up for Ray's Masterclass, and we'll try to find the URL.
That's right, whatever the URL is.
And if we don't find the URL, I'll just put Ray the video.
Oh, I have it. I just don't know it off the top of my head, so I'm like, uh-oh.
Okay. Well, I'll be producing the show right afterwards, so you got to get it to me, within a reasonable amount of time after the show's over.
Yeah, no, I can find it in 2 seconds. I just can't do it while I'm talking right now.
I understand. So. Okay, so I thought that was just fascinating stuff. Ray does a great job explaining it better than me. And there you go. Sign up for his masterclass. Consider this as an extra income stream for yourself.
Absolutely. And when you think about some of these, like the with the neuropathy doctors, they never really planned on being monetized and making money. Their goal was just to put out education to get more people to come buy their stuff. So now that they're getting $10,000 to $15,000 a month in extra money for what they were already doing, that's pretty good. You think about that. What would you do with an extra, $100,000, $120,000, $150,000 a year just for doing what you were going to be doing anyway? Pretty amazing.
Right. Well, and one thing I will tell you about attorneys is I have a program for getting their Google business profile on page 1, and I've had good success with it, and it's inexpensive, and you'll be surprised how much they're spending on their websites. I know a guy who's a personal injury attorney in Jackson, Mississippi, that's spending $15,000 a month on his website. Now it's at the top of page 1, but I noticed their GMB wasn't there, and their GMB or the GMBs, the 3-pack, are actually above the websites in that market. I'm charging $475 a month to do it. Mostly because that's all the market will bear, and it covers my time plus some. And they have a hard time understanding that. As soon as I mention I also do YouTube videos, they know what that is, you know. So
Right.
they understand the YouTube part of it. Getting to understand the Google business profile has been a little bit of a challenge, but I do teach classes on it for one of the associations, so that over time will help. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
Very
sir.
good. We like that. We like that a lot.
Hey, who helped make this episode of Video Marketing Madness possible?
Well, I'll tell you. Right now, while I'm on the road, I have in my hot little hands the WebMic 4K from Movo. Hopefully it sounds good. I'm probably holding it too close to my mouth right now, but hopefully it sounds pretty darn good. But it is the Webcam 4K, a beautiful microphone. And this thing it's a giant microphone, big, giant ball-sized microphone with a 4K camera in the center and a light around the edge.
Wow.
So it's all three of those things in one, and it does a really good job. And you can get that, and you can get all sorts of things like shotgun microphones and wireless lavalier microphones and wired lavalier microphones at our good friends website, Movo, by heading on over to raiselinks.com/Movo and checking out all the great things that they have available for you right now.
Right now. And with that, let's hit that funky music.
All right.
He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.